It was an adventure.
Well, now that seeing as a group of you guys,
It's still.
it's safer.
I looks at Ryan and goes, hey
No,
Ryan, what's good?
I said, what's good? He goes, well, it's all pretty good. I was like, yeah, wait, from here. He goes, oh, I know you're not from here.
What is it? I didn't know it was literally right there.
Yeah, and everybody here is like, ooh. And Dustin's like, well, Javi will probably be okay. It won't bother him.
Yeah, it was
Ryan's a little bigger, he'll probably be okay.
It was pretty funny.
It was good though.
Yeah, it was cool. So this is where y'all make all the shocks.
Yeah, we'll do I don't know if you want to split off right away, get with Dustin, and I can wander you guys around.
What, don't matter me?
See whatever works.
No, just
make sure you see it.
Yeah, we'll just go. Are we getting ready to dyno it? Is that what he's gonna do?
No, he's ready to show you how to build it.
Okay, I'll go with Dustin real quick. You guys can do it.
Do you want to see that too?
Yeah.
Okay. Doug and Dave have both been involved in dirt racing themselves. Dave is actually 190, but ages well
Looks good.
because he's been in racing. I've known him since I've been about 6, and I thought he was old then.
I feel like he's just shitting on you.
That's all right. When you need something.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Yeah.
As a teenager, Dave was playing with local dirt tracks, and there's a mall out here on the other side of Reading, the Fairgrounds Square Mall. It used to be the local dirt track. Shit.
Gotcha.
Aaron's kid.
So if it's a dirt car shock that gets made, it gets made in here.
The majority of it comes out here. Yep. And the room that we're gonna go to, some of it comes out there, but most of it starts off here at some point.
Gotcha. Cool.
We'll, I think we'll go this way. So there's SCCA has a Spec Miata series.
Very familiar with that.
And we are the Spec Shock for.
Oh, okay.
So this
So every Spec Miata has those.
Yes.
Same thing was on Don Juan.
Yeah, I think they're approved for Bilstein's and Penske's now. At one point it was just Bilstein's. So that's all the Spec Miata stuff that comes out of here. And this room is mostly Spec Miata.
I gotta tell you, the racing Spec does look good here. Yeah, right. So you gotta load one by one into that.
Yeah, this is the rebound side, I think of it, so you do all these sides first, and then you gotta go back and do the other sides.
Right.
Definitely keeps me busy, but yeah, just little marks there on both of the sides. Can't really see this one, but there's more exciting stuff to do.
And then when you see where it says rebound or whatever,
Yeah.
is that done in this too?
Yeah.
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 Basically a four-way. They order quite a few sets a year.
That one doesn't look right. Which one? This one? Yeah. This.
Seen better days.
That's
for going around
the
corners.
curved version. Yeah.
Going around corners. We'll make a lap through the machine shop and then go back in. So back in the day, when it was we still did tires, this was all tire warehouse. And as we keep on growing, we keep on buying more and more machines.
Taking more of it.
And
What do you guys rim polish?
all of our shafts.
Okay. That's what I was wondering if every single one of those got done.
We make all of our shafts in-house, so they get rim polished. I don't know what they're doing right now because that's a different media. Something else going in there. But these machines are, this one here, I don't remember the amount of tooling on it, but this was the first on-site tooling expansion in the world. I have no clue how many tools it is, but it's, I think it used to be like 180 and now it's 600. Wow.
So it can run basically 24 hours with no interruption. If you need to take the part out, it comes out the front, you can load a new one and it goes to the empty slot and just continues on, and that's some examples.
That's wild. So can this hole thing, like
Yes.
loaded in, it comes out like this.
Yeah, it'd be a bit
That's
block.
cool.
Yeah,
Starts
so
off as a block.
That's wild
That
that
is.
they can do that.
It's not bad, really.
no, considering what it can do and the capabilities, that one, we are the first company in the United States that received a machine in pieces that was assembled on site.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They were here for almost 3 weeks assembling that machine and uncrating it. It was on 4 lowboys when it came in, and literally there was 2 guys here. One gentleman was from Japan, and the other one is their senior tech from Kentucky. And they set that bad boy up. That thing's been up and running for about a year now, and we have machined a lot on that,
Yeah.
a lot. We have a cart over there full of bodies that, like the one you were looking at with the regressive and everything in it. We just machined like 200 of those bodies for a particular customer for an order.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So, and then we got some just not manual lathes, but automated turning units. We do all kinds of stuff on these as well. We can do shaft assemblies. We can do eyelets, body caps. Again, we machine 80 to 85% of everything that goes in our shocks here. So quality control wise, we can, keep everything in check. We can look at it, we can measure it. And then on top of it, we inspect it before it goes out. We inspect it when it comes back from anodizing, so we know what we're putting out to everybody is as best as we can get.
Right.
So, yeah.
Very cool. He said you guys have kind of grown into this. Used to be the tire side. You guys have kind of grown into this.
Yep.
Seems like you guys were getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And COVID kind of caused it to happen that way.
Yeah. Because you
machine
were
shops-
outsourcing.
Yeah, shops
Yeah.
that we dealt with for 20 plus years, they retire, they close up, and COVID just kind of put them out of business, if you will, and our hands were forced. We
Yeah.
had no choice.
Right.
I mean, the material comes in, as you see, we cut it all down for our bodies. We have our billets over there for our ride height adjusters, body caps. I mean,
At
again,
the end of the day, do you feel like it's better that it's all machined in-house now here?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of what kept us going when everybody else was struggling, if you will.
Yeah.
Everybody was struggling during COVID, including us. Don't
Sure.
get us wrong.
Yeah, right.
But being able to produce the parts ourselves kind of helped us. Then, like the anodizing and stuff like that, there were some tough times with that, a lot of delays, just because you got other companies that are struggling as well that
Right.
can't keep up. And,
Right.
But at the end of the day, it all worked out.
You guys still outsource your anodizing, I'm sure?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I don't think we'll ever want to get into.
Yeah, right.
The
Because it could take a whole other facility of this size to
Yeah.
keep up with anodizing.
and with the EPA and everything else and all that jazz,
Yep.
we deal with a company out of Philadelphia. So
Yeah.
again, it's a U.S. based company. They're here. They're close. They come twice a week for us. They drive up, so they're about an hour away.
Yeah.
So if we're in
Pick
a
up
pinch,
product, drop off product.
Yep.
Same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep. And
Yeah.
if we're in a hurry for something, we got a time crunch and some stuff that has to go overseas. They will come up on a Monday, pick it up on a Monday, and bring it back to us on a Wednesday.
Right.
We can't thank them enough for how
Yeah, right.
receptive they were of us when we went to them. But it's all right. Yeah. So over in the other room, we cut these. They come in 20-foot lengths.
Yep.
We cut them down to length. Then they come over here. They start at the far end and work their way up. They go from that to that. And these guys all day long, man, they were just in here machining our bodies and prepping them. Then they'll hone the inside of them and get the inside as smooth as they can.
Yep.
Then they'll get washed. And once they're washed, they get boxed and they go out for anodizing. Yep. So, once again, we make all our own shafts. We get the chrome ollie in, cut them to length. They come in about 24 feet long. We'll drill them all the way through, depending on the shaft that we're making. If it's a double adjust, it has to go all the way through.
Right.
They go on these 2 machines to do the drilling in the center and also some of the thread details on each end on the inside. And then they'll go into the other room next door.
And he was saying, Jerry was saying, those get rimmed as well.
Yes.
They get rimmed before they get machined? Or
They get
after-
rimmed after they're
After
machined.
machined. Okay,
Yeah.
so the finished product then goes in and gets rimmed.
Yes.
I gotcha.
Yep. So again, we have another multi-axis machine there that makes a lot of our pistons. So we have well over 45 different types and sizes of pistons that go in the shop. That machine was purchased solely for doing the pistons. It can machine two sides at once. So it can do the one side of the piston on the right side of the machine and then the other side on the left. So we're literally cranking out 2 parts at once.
That's nice.
So again, here's an example. So this is one of our drag air shock body caps.
So pretty.
That we put on the drag bikes. So this starts out again as a 3-inch billet of aluminum, and then it gets machined down to all the details that we need, and we do it all in-house. One machine does this entire unit. One's an airport.
Yeah.
That's where the nitrogen will go in for the air spring portion, and then the other side is the adjuster. Yeah, and this machine will do all that detail. It comes in as a bar. We put the rubber plugs in for anodizing so that we can keep the tolerances for the monovols tight when we press them in. So there's no issues with that. Then the 2 machines behind us, they are finishing the shafts. So you saw the shafts out there. Here's a finished product. So the threads are done on the outside. Your cross holes for your bleed is done. The portion for your piston to be mounted, the detail where the piston and shims and everything sit, and where the jet or bleed pit, whatever bleed you're going to put in, it goes in. And then from here, they get inspected. Once they're inspected and signed off on, then they go back to REM. Okay. And they could be in the REM machine for anywhere from 8 to 14 hours.
Right.
And our HQR behind us, that does a lot of the titanium piston.
Wow.
So we do a lot with titanium for a bunch of different reasons, because the tolerances obviously don't change with the heat, things like that, strength, and some of the companies that we deal with require that, so we have to kind of do what they want.
Man, that's crazy.
Yep. And that's
Very cool.
that's about finished. It'll get inspected, and then it'll get anodized.
Do they have to deburr those as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some of it that they do deburr just to get some of the sharp edges off. But if you take too much off, it's going to change the flow characteristic of the piston. Yeah. And then we have a Haas in the back that we make all our own shock dynos. So we, for 2016, we started making our own dynos. So we use that to make all the flat plates, the base plate of the dyno, and a lot of the crossbars and things like that. Also our multi-tool, our Penske multi-tool that we sell, that every shock builder uses, we make it on that as well. We manufacture them in-house, and we etch them after they're anodized. We put all the pins in and everything for them as well. The tools that you use on the front struts to do the air and everything, we deal with making them as well. We put all the pins in, we do all the etching on them as well. So yeah, we make quite a bit of stuff in here. It separates the nitrogen from the oil, and in there you can see the shaft and the piston and the shims and every of the inside, the workings of the inside. And if you look, the inside is baby smooth. I can't say what I want to say, but you know what I'm getting at. It's as smooth as can be. You have a piston band in there, just like a piston ring on an engine. And inside there's an O-ring that keeps that piston band pushing to keep that piston centered in the bore as it's going through its motions. And that also helps save the anodizing and everything inside the body.
It's trying to get all scored up or anything.
Yep. And it can.
After time?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I don't want to say trailer queens, but cars are spending more time on the trailer than they do on the track, and the car sits there and it's not strapped down.
Without an air pillow or whatever.
Yeah.
Chest pillow, stuff like that.
So 10 years.
They sit there and vibrate and don't actually move.
Yeah.
When they actually move,
It flows, flows a little.
We see it a lot in the Spec Racer Ford shocks. They spend a lot of time in the car, in the trailers, they don't strap them down right,
Yeah.
and then the shock's 10, 20 years old, and they don't service them. So you'll get them, and there'll be a 1-inch section that there's no anodizing left, and it's just wore off. And the rest of the body's good, and it's a shame. I mean, you really shouldn't run it.
Yeah.
Because you're changing that. You could have bleed at that portion.
Right.
Because the piston band's not squeezing as tight, just like in the compression in an engine. If that top ring is, not as tight as it needs to be, and the second backup ring ain't there, what's going to happen?
Right.
So.
Yeah, leak off.
Yep. So, that being said,
Together, you should definitely use Loctite on something, and here's all your parts.
Oh no, this is where I go to school. Just watch.
it's not too bad. If you can tear an engine apart and put it back together, like I've seen you guys do.
Drag
Today?
racer shocks are for dummies. Yeah, they're the most
We're a little behind.
archaic, easy ones to use.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, working here,
Yeah.
seeing what you've seen today, then
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
They are.
that's what I've learned. Things like that, like that's
They get confusing.
considered to be. Well, wow, you got those. Those are cool, but that's not really. Yeah.
No, and they are badass.
They are. They are. But
There's more badass reality.
Yeah.
in shop technology, they're at the bottom of the barrel. Like there's so much more things that you can do.
Yeah.
But we'd have stuff all messed up.
Whoa.
We had those ones with all 8 adjustments and
You'd
everything.
be like, what? Am I
Yeah.
supposed to turn that left or right?
Smoke the tires on one side. That's-
Yeah, one tire's
yeah.
You went the wrong way on that side, Javi.
Yeah.
Pre-assembly. I did a little ahead of time just to kind of speed things up. So we got your strange lower, our body. We Loctite it in place. And then we have our adapter. It's a banjo adapter that Goodbridge makes for us. Your Goodbridge hose. So what we're going to do, we got to change out the original banjo. Hopefully I can get this the first time. And
Boom. It's like you've done that a time or two.
couple. So then we got to put the hose on. I already put a little lube on there. You want to keep the O-rings happy. And you just kind of get it on there. Once you get it on,
There it goes.
once it's on, then you got to put your snap ring on. Round down. So you got to feel the edge. You got a sharp edge and smooth edge. You want the round side down. Sharp side up. Just enough. Make sure we're good. Alright, then we got to put the res can on. So your res can's your compression adjuster. Again, we did some pre-assembly on it. This is where you're going to jump in.
Yep.
Little red Loctite on your threads. It's good. Copper crush washer got to go on, just like your banjo fittings on your brake calipers.
Yep. We just screw this on first like this.
Yes, sir.
Then Allen,
Yep.
because Allen's here.
Yep. Don't drop it, even though it's hard anodizing.
What is this torque to?
130 inch-pounds. Forgot my T-handle. We'll need that later on. Alright, next we got our shaft assembly. Shaft bearings already on. All your O-rings are lubed. Your jet is installed. Your needle is installed. That's all part of the bleed when you're making your adjustments with the air on, air off, etc. That's what you're adjusting, the closing and opening of the orifice size inside. Kind of like a needle and seat in a carburetor. That's the easiest way to explain it to car guys.
Exactly what I was just getting at.
Yep, anybody that worked on a carburetor knows, and Jerry has some behind you he can show you.
This is best perspective for you guys to figure it out. That fits in there, just like a needle and seat.
Yeah.
There's a rod, connects it all. So when you turn that up, it pushes it in stiffer.
Yeah.
Turn it out,
Goes
lets it
like
out.
that.
So that's a one-way check valve inside there. And that's something that we change in other forms of racing with what you guys have. You don't ever have to do that. But that's essentially what your rebound adjuster is doing, is just changing the flow, a bypass around the piston. So your oil goes in these holes and out the jet. And the piston goes on there. You have a shim?
Yeah, I do.
All the shims.
So your shim will cover up those holes. Your oil will flow in there, into that port, and then blow it open. And do the same on the opposite side. So that's what's changing, what's stiffer or softer. And when you open that up, I usually call it more or less a timing device. So when you open this adjuster up, it bypasses all of this and goes through the hole in the center of the shaft. So when you make that stiffer, then it affects the shims more. It forces the fluid through the shims.
Yeah. Opens it up more. All right, remember everything I taught you? Go back to your YouTube video.
Yeah, because ultimately, and everybody thinks there's this black voodoo magic. There really isn't. You have really close to the same thing as you have. You have really close to the same thing as the other guy has. And for the most part, they're either the same or really close. You know, Chris Bell has some things that he does a little different. You know, every dealer has something that do it a little different. But for the most part, they're pretty darn close.
Yeah.
There will come a day when it's going to be somebody's got a dyno, you're going to start changing things, you're going to find something you like.
Right.
What the car likes.
Adam Dryzik's probably the closest to that right now.
Yeah.
You know, but he's got a business.
He's got all that shit in
his
Kyle's trailer.
Right.
Yeah, he has. I'm pretty sure he has. His own personal. Let's say his own personal trailer had one in it.
He has a shotgun on Kyle's trailer.
But that's with him being
Yeah.
a shot guy for so long, and he's just kind of forcing it into that direction.
Sure.
I have laid out what we're gonna put on. Everything's already pre-measured, so we already know what's going in to match the other one you already have and what's on both cars. So grab that one. We call that a pyramid stack.
Yeah.
Basically, that can change the curve, so the size of the piston, etc. The size of the shim's going to change the way that it works. So if we put all the bigger ones on, it's going to blow open and go really, really flat. And with a pyramid stack, it's going to blow open, but it's going to get linear. It's going to get stiffer as you go. So you're going to put the smaller side down on the shaft. All right, now you're going to grab the piston. So now that piston has two sides.
Yeah.
This is the digressive side and this is the linear side. We're going to put the linear side down. Yep, flat side down. Then next we have our preload shims. So there's X amount of distance from the face of the piston to the center of the piston. So you are adjusting and changing the preload on the outer stack by how thick that center is. So we have that already measured out. You're going to throw them on next. Then the next stack again. So we want to put them the way I flip them, do 180.
Yeah, I picked them up.
Yep. You want to set that down next. That's the rebound side. Then your 750-20. That's just a clamp shim. And then the nuts next.
No Loctite?
No Loctite. We double nut that one because you guys like to run impact guns on the nut that holds it to the car.
I do not.
We try not to.
do.
Yeah, you do not.
Yeah, I do not.
And then you're going to grab the other one, smaller one. We're going to put that on top, and then we're going to torque that to 20 foot-pounds. So you'll have to adjust the torque wrench for that.
20 foot-pounds?
Yes, sir.
We're putting you to test, making you adjust torque wrenches on camera and stuff.
Oh yeah.
We have faith.
Yeah.
I've seen him in action. There you go. That's just like your
Energizer O-ring, so that's probably the one we care the least about in anything in the shop, as long as it's on there.
Yep. The piston band is next. All right, now the fun part. You think that's small? Let me get some parts from those sports car shops. All right, so we have two oils that we use. We use 5-weight and 2.5, and in the drag car stuff, we use 2.5. So the 2.5 is the darker of the two. So what we're going to do, we're going to fill this up to about here. Then it's going to start to come out, and then that screw with that Dowdy seal on it you have to thread it in there and then tighten it by hand with the T-handle.
Okay.
Okay, don't make a mess.
Oh boy. You put pressure.
Because you're
Make a mess, and Ryan will just make it clean.
Oh yeah.
Well, really.
Oh, he's got.
Pretty good at making messes.
I'm almost gonna be
Anything
upset
in
if
his
he
life.
doesn't make a mess, because that's what he does. He goes right else.
2.5 to 5, or if you want to make it too much pressure. I would probably
Oh, yeah.
2.5 to a 7.
Oh, really? That far?
Yeah, because that'd be an
So, yeah.
Yep, gravity got to fill it. When it'll start to push a couple of air bubbles out, once the air bubbles start coming out, the oil will start flowing pretty smooth.
Oh, geez.
Oh, it'll come out, it'll come out, it'll get you. And when you get it like that, pull up, lift
Oh,
up, and then it'll stop.
If I would have been thinking we should have booby trapped it.
Nah, well, I don't want to do that.
So just hand tight?
Yep, what I usually typically do is with this hand, take
Yeah.
one finger, push
Yeah.
against the threads to stop it from rotating, and then you want to get it as tight as you can. Don't be scared.
That's pretty tight.
Yep, and then take that and just flip it over to the back side and dump it out, and you can actually just let it hang.
Feeling that if we ever have like a strut problem, a shock problem or anything, it's gonna be on this one. Good chance.
And knowing us, it probably will never have a problem.
Put a J on that one.
Yeah.
Put my name on it, sign it.
That way I
Ryan
know.
wants me to sign it already, so he knows.
So then at this point, we'll take that res can after we got it all off, and we'll just go in there, wipe out that are in there. You want the banjo fitting up high and then push it down, and that's going to cycle the floating piston up and push the oil back into here, and any air that's in there, it'll go with it. This is why I said not to add any more oil.
Yeah, because I would have overflowed the shit out of it.
Yep. And then you're going to do that a couple times. You're going to cycle it. You can flip it back over to pull it back out. Just don't go past that top snap ring. Otherwise, you're going to... Yep. Oil will be everywhere. You'll be having a bath, and then we'll have to get you a new sweatshirt. And if you watch, you'll see the bubbles coming
Yeah.
up.
I saw it the very first time.
Yeah, the first time usually you have a lot. We usually typically do it 3 to 4 times, and then you're pretty much done.
At least he made it loose.
Make sure this is away from you,
Okay.
so towards the back. No, I'm not going to do it to him.
Oh,
Please do it.
oh man. This
Come on, for the camera.
No, I'm not going to do it to him. So if you take this thing and you just cram it in there, that hole's going to shoot oil at you.
Yeah.
Oil's going to shoot out through there until this thing is sealed. Then the other thing that's going to happen is when we go to put the shaft bearing down in.
You could have left something for surprise.
No, I'm not doing it.
He's
to
not
him.
setting me up for disaster.
So we're going to take it, watch our over,
He'd dodge you.
and then just kind of, you see how fast that's happening?
Yeah. That would have been, I'd have got shit everywhere.
Yep. But first, we got to pressurize that. So pop that thing on there. Ooh, skip a step. You got to push that all the way down. You're going to have to use 2 thumbs. Here, I'll hold the quad ring. Yep, that's good. And the snap ring goes in there. Might have to push down a little more.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, that's another. You skip that step, you'll definitely get shit everywhere, huh?
Yep, because it's going to push the floating piston back out, and then when you go to sink everything, it's going to create quite a bit of mess because it'll pop that.
You want to do this before you put
the shaft assembly in. Yep. All right. Try to get that back up. We got the snap ring in. All right. Hopefully that don't come shooting out. Pressurize it. So that will offset the floating piston we put in and put it all the way up against the top at the stopping point. So now we can actually continue to
It'll hold your oil, your floating piston up, it'll hold it level.
Oh, I see what you're
When you're
saying.
stroking the shaft in and out,
Yeah.
the oil's staying there.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll offset it, so as you push it in, naturally wants to offset that floating piston. So now, push that shaft assembly down. You want to take it down about 1/2 inch. The oil coming off is okay.
That's
Yep,
what
that's normal. Keep going, keep going, keep going. All right, now we're going to make some birdhouses.
Oh boy.
So, what we typically do, pull the shaft assembly towards you, and then you're going to keep it tension on it against the wall, and you're gonna rotate it around. As you're rotating it, don't let it sink, but tap on the top with the dead blow just enough, and you'll see air bubbles come up. And then you just do that a couple of times. You can hit it a little harder than that. What you're trying to do there is you see those bubbles coming up, you're actually causing the shims to open ever so slightly to get the air that's trapped inside the ports to come out. All right, so that's good. Then what I typically do, I'll grab it, I'll give it a quick jab. One more time. Quick jab, see how we got some air out of that? So now we're ready to put the shaft bearing in. So I'll take that. Now, shaft, lean it towards you. Shaft bearing, slide it down until it hits the body.
So a lot of times when you do that, it'll stick at first.
Yeah.
And the reason we pull the shaft is so that when it breaks free and drops down the bottom, it smacks the side of the shock body instead of the oil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, we'd both be standing here with it all over our stomachs and the floor. So now you'll take it and center your shaft. Now grab your shaft bearing and slowly take it down into the oil. Kind of wiggling it a little bit as you get down there, and just keep going until that O-ring's all the way in. And it'll be tight, you'll feel it. And then once you get to that point, start turning the shaft bearing by hand, and you'll feel it start to catch. Once it starts, we gotta let the nitrogen pressure out. And then tighten that down.
I see why you put the microphone over there.
We have drip cups for a lot of our shocks. We just don't have any for the struts.
Yeah.
We have these are what I'm talking about, the drip cups.
Yeah, so we're going.
Yeah, then we don't have to worry about it, but there's certain ones we don't have it. So now that goes in, That wrench right there is a wrench like I was talking about that we make in-house.
Yeah.
And we sell them. Keep going until the bottom's out. And then you want to hold the top of the shaft and give it a, don't kill it, but kill it.
Probably an hour ago, and I don't know, I think that's.
Just about there. Yep, you can let that hang. We ain't got to worry about oil coming out of there. About to say fuel oil. Next, we'll put it under vacuum. Just to play it safe in case you missed a bubble or two. And you'll see some, it'll come up. A couple here and there, you might get a couple. You might have did a really good job though. You see it starting to foam?
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
That gets it all out now.
Yeah. You could have a pocket stuck in there in one of the banjo fittings and stuff like that. So we just do that as kind of a backup. And then once it starts to go away and clear up, I mean, that's about it. You don't want to do it too long because you can actually suck air past the quad ring if you do it too long. Like drag shocks earlier, and we do needle fill with them. They have a little bladder in the charge port.
Insurance information?
All right. So now you're going to thread this onto the bottom. Don't stop. Yep. There's no ring in there. It'll seal. And then turn the other knob all the way in.
75 or 90, I can't remember. What do you guys like?
Typically is 110.
Well, this is to fill it, right?
Yeah, this is to fill it.
This is to fill it.
Typically it's 75.
It all depends. So what do you want it at?
75, I
Yeah.
think. It's-
Okay. So just open the valve up. Shut it down. And then you can just tap on that.
We put it to 75 or?
Yep.
Okay.
75.
If you go under, we have more.
That's a little touchy.
Mm-hmm. Watch. Watch.
Ah.
close the top one first. I'll open it, that is.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know you, yeah. I'll trade you. That's it.
That's it, huh?
Yep. So you officially built your first Drex truck.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
And we gotta test it.
Alan, I know you have some struts that don't have that lock ring on it. So you might want to make sure you've got a marker or a paint pen mark on that shaft bearing, just to make sure it doesn't ever come loose on you.
Yeah. So we put these on to stop the shaft bearing as a backup, just like a lock nut, you know, type situation. We'll put blue Loctite on, put them down, and then we actually have a wrench similar to our multi-tool we use, and we actually crank them tight.
Tight.
Yep, but I've got to put blue Loctite on it first. I was just showing you for sakes of doing it, but I usually typically put plenty of blue Loctite on it. We don't want them coming off, you know, and the shaft bearing can come out quickly.
Is that like something newer that y'all done?
What's that?
Is that something newer you guys have done?
Because I can't remember.
We've been doing it. We had some bodies that didn't have the threads high enough in order to do it.
Yeah.
And you want to,
I know some of
give
the
it a-
shocks that,
Yep.
or some of the struts.
So does it get more finicky at later? So like, let's say for instance, 30's all the way tight, okay, and I got it somewhere in the middle. When you start to tighten it, does it?
It's pretty linear. It's pretty.
Okay. Does it react quicker when you get down to the bottom? Does that make sense? I can understand what I'm trying to say, but I know
Some of our older stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the design of the needle that's on the
Yeah,
inside.
right.
Some of our older stuff is a little bit more barbaric.
Sure.
So it would be, your first couple adjustments would be huge steps.
Yeah,
And then your
right.
last adjustments be
Yeah.
very little. Now our needles actually have they call it a parabolic needle. So the radius is constantly changing in it to keep that adjustment the same.
So maybe,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Major adjustments, you know.
Yeah.
Major moves.
I've always had the mentality to make a big adjustment and then back up, because they're fine.
Because they're fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of noticed that because we went 4 clicks tight 3 different times in the day during testing. But on the data, it made a difference every time.
Right.
You know, but I just wondered if I got to a certain place where.
Now that other brand that's on the one car
Uh-huh.
does exactly like our old stuff. So it'll be
Partially why.
your first,
You're saying without saying.
Yeah.
the first adjustments will be huge and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it doesn't
Yeah.
barely do anything.
yeah, on a shock dyno is where you would truthfully see it.
See that.
Yeah, every click, you can notice a difference in adjustment all the way out from full soft to full stiff.
Yeah.
You can literally see it change, and it's not huge. It's step, 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 step.
That's the way you want it.
Right, more control if you know what it's gonna do. And if the last 5-10 clicks don't do a whole lot, then
Yeah.
why have them?
Yeah, exactly. At Penske. Oh, it's somebody named Hobby.
Yeah, with in the real world though, when we're building shocks, so we have our sales order. You know, you have your bill of materials list, and basically that's for the parts room to pull all the parts, and then a sales order is attached to it. So every single person that has touched these pieces of paper before it became a shock, to the time it gets shipped, there's record of everybody who did what. Yeah. So Jerry does all the pre-assembly, so before I get it, he has already double checked to make sure that all the parts are correct based on the build, et cetera, et cetera. So his initials are on it, the parts room guy that pulled its initials are on it.
So
Yeah.
they'll enter the order and then the order comes out of the parts room. I didn't really show you guys that part, but the parts room will pull all the parts. Then it comes out of
Then you
there
get started.
into another room and then there's a pre-assembly. And I'll pre-assemble everything, make sure all the parts are there, and then divvy it up between who's building them.
Right.
And then as the shock builder, you know, it gets dynoed. The initials are in the system for who built it, but it's also on the dyno file as well as to who built it. So
Sure.
there's record of everything. And even, I didn't show you on some of the shaft assemblies, but for example, the shaft assemblies at the very top, the job number is laser etched into every single shaft assembly. So with that, it can tell us where we bought the material, when we bought it, who cut it, who machined it, who inspected it, when it was rem polished, and when it was sold. We know every aspect of it. And that way we just have more control again.
Quality control.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we find an issue with a product or whatever, you know, manufacturer flaw in the material or whatever from the steel, etc., we know where it is and we can go back and find it to try to keep it under control. Yeah.